Join the journey where karma meets betrayal.
Have you ever helped someone build their future only to watch them insult you the moment they felt successful? That is exactly what happened to me. I trusted my own son-in-law with $68,000. I believed I was helping my daughter build a happy life. Instead, he laughed in my face. He told everyone I was old, useless, and living in the past. Then he disappeared with my money and my respect. What he never expected was that I had spent 40 years quietly building something much bigger than he could imagine. 3 years later, he walked into an interview hoping for a second chance. The moment he looked up and saw who owned the company, his face turned completely white. Stay until the end because what happened next changed our entire family forever. People think betrayal always comes from strangers. My experience taught me that sometimes it comes from the people sitting at your own dinner table. My name is Richard. I am 64 years old and spent more than 4 decades running a manufacturing business. It was never a $1 billion company, but it gave hundreds of families stable jobs and allowed me to provide a comfortable life for my wife and daughter Emily. Emily married Daniel 5 years ago. At first everyone loved him. He was confident, ambitious, and always had big dreams. He spoke about startups, investments, and becoming financially free before 40. He knew exactly what to say to impress people. Over time, I noticed something different. Daniel respected people only when he believed they had more money or influence than he did. He treated waiters poorly, ignored factory workers, and constantly joked that traditional businesses were dying. One evening, he visited my office carrying a laptop filled with colorful presentations. He explained he had found an incredible business opportunity that would double any investment within 18 months. I listened carefully and asked difficult questions. Most of his answers sounded more like excitement than actual planning. He looked disappointed and said I simply did not understand modern business. A week later, Emily came to our house crying. She believed this investment would change their lives. She asked if I could help them get started because banks had rejected their application. Looking at my daughter, I could not say no. I transferred $68,000 from my savings. We signed a simple agreement stating the money would either be returned within 2 years or converted into an ownership share if the company succeeded. Daniel smiled, shook my hand, and promised he would never forget my generosity. For the first few months, everything sounded wonderful. He talked about new clients, future investors, and expanding into several cities. Then updates became shorter. Phone calls went unanswered. Emails were ignored. Whenever I asked about the business, Daniel accused me of being impatient. Finally, I requested a meeting. Instead of showing financial records, he exploded. He told me I was old-fashioned. He said people like me were the reason young entrepreneurs struggled. Then, in front of several relatives during a family gathering, he laughed and said Richard is useless. He should be grateful I even let him invest in my future. The room became silent. My daughter looked embarrassed but said nothing. I quietly stood up, thanked everyone for dinner, and left. That night, my wife asked whether we should take legal action immediately. I simply replied not yet. Over the next year, Daniel's social media became filled with expensive vacations, luxury restaurants, designer clothes, and motivational quotes about success. Meanwhile, my calls continued to be ignored. One afternoon, Emily finally visited us alone. She admitted the business was failing. Much of the investment had been spent on image branding, expensive offices, and unnecessary purchases instead of building real income. Within another 6 months, everything collapsed. The company closed. The investors disappeared. Daniel blamed the economy, his partners, and everyone except himself. He never apologized. Instead, he claimed losing my money was simply part of taking risks. Life moved on. I focused on expanding my manufacturing company. While many competitors struggled, we invested in automation, employee training, and long-term contracts. Our business doubled in size. Several larger companies approached us with partnership offers. 3 years passed. One Monday morning, our human resources manager entered my office carrying a stack of resumes. She pointed to one application and smiled. This candidate has impressive confidence but no stable employment for years. I looked down. It was Daniel. He had applied for a management position. I asked the manager to schedule the interview. She had no idea we were related. On interview day, Daniel walked into the conference room wearing an expensive suit that no longer looked new. He opened the door confidently. Then he saw me sitting at the head of the table. His smile disappeared instantly. Neither of us spoke for several seconds. Finally, I invited him to sit down. He looked uncomfortable. For the first time since taking my money, he addressed me with complete respect. He explained that life had taught him valuable lessons. He admitted several mistakes. He said he wanted a fresh start. I asked one simple question. If someone trusted you with $68,000 today, would you treat them differently? He lowered his head. Yes, absolutely. I asked why. Because now I understand trust is worth more than money. His answer sounded sincere. I remained silent before opening a folder containing the original agreement he had signed years earlier. I had kept every document, every message, every ignored email, every broken promise. I reminded him that business is built on accountability, not confidence. He nodded without making excuses. For the first time, I believed he truly understood. I offered him an entry-level operations position instead of the management role. The salary was fair but nothing extraordinary. He looked surprised. You are still willing to hire me? I answered with complete honesty. I am giving you an opportunity not because you deserve special treatment but because everyone deserves one chance to rebuild their character. You will earn respect the same way everyone else does. One day at a time. Daniel accepted. During the first months, he arrived early, worked hard, and never complained. He listened to experienced employees instead of trying to impress everyone. He admitted when he did not know something. Slowly, people began respecting him. A year later, he requested a meeting. Without saying a word, he placed a certified check on my desk. It represented every remaining dollar he owed me, including interest. He apologized for the pain he had caused our family. This time, there were no excuses, only responsibility. I accepted the payment but told him the money had never been my biggest loss. The real loss had been trust. He understood. That evening, Emily hugged both of us with tears in her eyes. Our family would never erase the past, but we finally had a chance to build a better future. Life has a strange way of teaching lessons. Sometimes success disappears overnight. Sometimes pride costs more than money. And sometimes the person you once called useless becomes the only person willing to give you another chance. Never confuse kindness with weakness. Never mistake patience for surrender, because the quiet people you underestimate today may become the ones deciding your future tomorrow. Respect is more valuable than money, and character always outlasts pride. Betrayal may win for a season, but honesty and patience usually write the final chapter. The greatest revenge is not humiliation. It is building a life so strong that the people who once looked down on you are forced to respect the person they underestimated.